am forever permanently tripping, hallucinating, psychedelic, psychosis, hypnosis, lyrics, spitting a demerit, spitting a hear it. Life is 10% what you experience and 90% how you respond to it. I spit it, I spat it. To know and not to know. To be conscious of complete truthfulness. Rapping relentless. In my raps, I'm obsessed with scientific la. While telling carefully constructed lies. To hold simultaneously two opinions, which canceled out. I shout when I pout, and knowing them to be contradictory, and believing in both of them. Rhythm anthem. To use logic against logic, and automatic, spitting that calcula. To repudiate morality, spent rapidly for eternity, infinity, our lane, claim to it, to believe that democracy was impossible, unstoppable, indestructible, spent improbable, spent a bubble, hubble, bubble, max, spent a rap, and that the party was a guardian of democracy, to forget, regret, whatever it was necessary to forget, rap and regret, and then to draw it back, rap into memory again, rapping a never ending, I said, at the moment, spit and hold it, and when it was needed, rap and repeat it, and then promptly to forget it again, raps in a mess, and above all, standing tall, I begin to fall, to apply the same process to the process itself. Raps in the shelf was that the ultimate subtlety, consciously to induce unconsciousness, subconsciousness, and then once again to become unconscious of the act of hypnosis, psychosis that you had just performed, ramping above a door, floating inshore, even to understand the word a double think, ring involved the use of a double think, ring ding. That's just then again, almost all people are hypnotics. The proper authority saw to it that the proper belief should be induced. Then you spit into you, and the people believed properly, rapping their endly, the erotic state. Again, a mixture of concentration and spontaneity is a hyponodal state, probably the most powerful kind that we are capable of experiencing, rapping relentlessly for all eternity, infinity, and is in this condition that unexpected regions of the self are revealed, as the majority of people know from experience. Delirious, why so serious? A democratic, a civilization, equation invasion will save itself. Immigration only if it makes language spend hiatus of a image into a stimulus for critical reflection. Spend on don't be messing, and not an invitation for hypnosis, psychosis. The important thing for you to remember, rapper forever, is that it does not matter in the least how now you got the idea or where it came from, but kingdom will come. You may never have met a professional hypnotist, a therapist, infinitist. You may never have been formally hypnotized, but if you have accepted an idea from yourself, your teachers, your parents, friends, advertisements, rapid resentment from any other source and fervor, if you are firmly convinced that this idea is true, spent into you, it has the same power over you as the hypnotist's words have over the hypnotized subject, spit and rap and a spat it. If you persuade yourself that you can do a certain thing, provided this thing can be possible, you will do it. However, rapper forever, I got the power, and difficult it may be. If on the contrary, you imagine rapping never ending, that you cannot do the simplest thing in the world. It spins in the worlds and swirls in the twirls. It is impossible for you to do it. And molehills become for you unscalable mountains. Rapping, I spit them, I spat them forever and ever. I never end them, rapping, never end them forever. Spitting, I spat them, for I spat them, I spit them. A fancy thinking the beast was something you could hunt and kill. You knew, didn't you? I'm part of you, close. I'm the reason why it's not. There's no go. Why things are what they are. Spinning raps wishing upon a shooting star. Actually, they do happen to resemble a hallucination. Rapid invasion. Kindly note my silhouette in the moonlight that the cat climbed into the shaft of the moonlight. Rhyme and wanted to I keep talking, but was asked to be quiet. Rhyme it very well. Underneath the infinite rapper spell in hell, I shall be silent. He replied, I shall be a silent hallucination, equation invasion. Sometimes when one is moving silently through such an utterly desolate landscape, rapping on bay, and overwhelming hallucination can make one feel that oneself as an individual, unstoppable, indestructible, improbable, never stop spitting up hubba bubba max spinning rap. Human being is slowly being unraveled, surrounding, wrapping never ending forever and ever. I got the power. The space is so vast, spanning from the past, that it becomes increasingly difficult to keep a balanced grip on one's own being, wrapping never ending for us, spanning us as a reptilian of a mind swells out to fill the entire landscape. Away goes they becoming so diffuse in the process that one loses the ability, wrapping infinity capabilities to keep it fastened to the physical self. Wraps in the shelf, the sun would rise from the eastern horizon, never stop rhyming and cut its way across the empty sky, rhyme, and seen below a western horizon, never stop rhyming. This was the only perceptible change in our surroundings, wrapping never ending up on a spit in the ground, and then the movement of the sun. I felt something I hardly know how to name, some huge cosmic love from above, turtle, dove, love from above. There's a span, don't you know? No. The road to creativity passes so close to the madhouse and often detours or ends there. Spent rapid despair. The psychotic drowns in the same waters in which the mystic swims with delight. A schizophrenia cannot be understood without understanding despair. Rappers beware. Everywhere I looked, demons of the future on the battlegrounds of one's emotional plane. Away goes today. A transference, a neurosis corresponds to a combo between ego and ID. An narcissistic neurosis corresponds spent into the pond that between ego and superego, and a psychosis to that between ego and outer world, span as it swirls and it whirls and it twirls. Neurosis as a result of a conflict between the ego and its id, whereas psychosis is an analog outcome of a similar disturbance in the relation equation between the ego and its environment, spent in resentment. And am I racially kin to this man Baines? I wonder so closely so that for all intents and purposes it is the same way goes today than it is to in me, to the psychotic streak, rhyme, speak, psychotic world we live in. The madman are in power, rapper of power, a spouter, a spinner, a shouter. How long have we known this, faced this, and how many of us do it, spit it, or rap it? The endless newsreel clips of nuclear explosions that we saw on TV in the 1960s, rapping infinity, a powerful incitement to the psychotic imagination, sanction, and everything. Into the thing inside of my head, the rapping, speaking, I'm rapping, I'm rhyming again. And then I said, it's like if the music is loud enough, I won't be able to listen to my own thoughts. And though I have done many shameful things, I am not ashamed of who I am. I'm not ashamed of who I am because I know who I am. I have tried to rip myself open, spent in a rap and a hope, and exposed everything inside, accepting my weaknesses and strengths and not trying to be anyone else, because that never works, does it? Instead of rap it, So my challenge is to be authentic, and I believe I am today. I believe I am. They say suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. The problem with being human isn't really temporary. Rapping relentlessly for all of eternity. Here it is inside of my head, spitting never endingly, infinitely. Psychedelics are illegal not because our loving government is concerned that you may jump out of a third-story window. Psychedelics are illegal because they dissolve human opinion structures, rapper forever, and culturally lay down models of behavior and information processing. They open you up to the possibility that everything you know is wrong. I was on acid, and I looked at the trees, and I realized that they all came to points, and the little branches came to points, and the houses came to point. I vote, everything has a point, and if it doesn't, then there's a point to it. Spit it, I rap it. Psychedelic experiences are notoriously hard to render in words. Haven't you heard? The bird is the word. To try is necessarily to do violence. Stay silent to what has been seen and felt. Rapping my spit and I spelt, which is in some fundamental way pre or post linguistic, whereas students of mysticism say ineffable emotions wrapping a commotion, arriving all their newborn nakedness, wrapping relentless for an asbestos, unprotected from a harsh light of scrutiny, and especially the pitiless glare of irony, of platitudes, spanning longitude and latitude, and when it seemed out of place on a hallmark card, flow with the force of revealed truth spit into you. Love is everything, okay? Away goes today, but what else did you learn? Perhaps from the urn, or revived from the urn. No, you must not have heard me. It's everything rapping again and again is a platitude so deeply felt still, just as a platitude. No, I decided to rhyme it. A platitude, longitude, latitude is precisely what is left of the truth after it has been drained of all emotion, commotion, the ocean to resaturate the dried rhyme, husk with feeling is to see it again, wrapping on the end for what it is, spitting it tis of the twixt of it is the loveliest and most deeply rooted of truths hidden in plain sight. Ram, all day and all night. Spent never ending all day and all night. Been rum inside of my mind, echoing all night and night. Through psychedelics, we are learning that God is not an idea. God is a lost continent in the human mind. That continent has been rediscovered in a time of great peril. Rhyming a pharaoh for ourselves and our world. Is this coincidence? A synchronicity, or a cruelly meaningless juxtaposition of hope and ruin. Spitting to you, and I am everything, information and noun. Then I shout and I pop, running my mouth. Shrooms are full of shit. That's the whole story, rapping relentlessly for eternity. Growing and shit is their essence. They try to humble you in these ways that bring you down to their level. Rapping on purple, a snap, I'll hit you with a shovel. Unconsciousness is a tricky thing. And rending mescaline is good. Mescaline is process. There's a spitting and rapping, a spitting and never ending, a spot 'em, a rap 'em, a rout 'em. The light is not just the message, it is the presence of the one is shining in every corner of existence, rapping a spitus. As long as one has such awareness that I am a doer, there are rituals, spitting a toll. As soon as the awareness that I am the doer goes away, there is a liberation, equation, annihilation, invasion. As long as a totalitarian, as long as there is the belief that I am a doer, and there is a religion, a dharma, and when one becomes free indeed of the state of as a doer, there is a science, vignan, each person has a crazy ego within. That crazy ego makes the good appear to be bad. Rap. The ego even makes those to home appear to be bad. Rapping on that. What does the scientist of the absolutely detached state say? Went over our prakriti, relative self of those at home. The world outside is not to be won over. Rapper, move over. I'm spitting a drunkard. This is a science. It's a God scientific experiment. Rapping a spitting and resentment. All these are neither deeds, karma, nor is there any doer rapper forever. There is no authority overseeing either. It is only a science, rapping appliance. The real is indestructible, whereas the religion that are being followed in the world are all relative. They are destructible. Real science, satya, vignan, procedures, results, blah, 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 on its own, whereas one has to work very hard to acquire worldly relative knowledge, prowess. You do not have to renounce anything. The path of liberation is not one of acquisition or renunciation at all. Acquisition and renunciation are actually a part of auspicious and an auspicious path rap. The Arkham science is actually the path to liberation. It is the path of attaining the absolute state of the self. Paramatma pad. One only has to understand it and spread it. Real science is that which accepts the relative. That which disregards the relative is not considered as real science. Rapping appliance. There's been reliance. Been all night and all day. Spent again and again. Away goes the day. It is not the physicist, but the self-realized master who comprehends the true nature of matter. Rapper forever. Every piece of you holds the whole, not as poetry, but as fact. Rapper rap. There's spin and rap. Religion means researching the true eternal thing with diluted worldview, and this is science itself. Raps on the shelf. The world we the world we live in where spiritual becomes science and science believe in and accept in spiritual world as it spins and whirls and swirls and twirls. The science of the absolutely detached Lord is the ultimate science appliance, but beyond it, nothing at all remains to be known. Well, there if I go, spitting don't you know, and notes into my phone. Don't ring me fossil lati do. Well, there if I go, spitting notes into with my phone. It seems like everyone's sleepwalking through their awakened state, or awake, walking through their dreams. It seems one of the things you learn after years of dealing with drug people, purple snapple, is that you can turn your back on a person, rapping that's hurting, but never turn your back on a drug, pulling the plug. 2 bags of grass, 75 pellets of mescaline, 5 sheets of high-powered blotter acid, a salt shaker half full of cocaine, pain of the pain, and a whole galaxy of multicolored uppers, downers, screamers, laughers, rapper. First you will see a spot. The spot will become a crack. This is the crack. This is the crack between the nothing. And out of this, nothing will come. Your unborn soul is following you whole. I wish there was some hip way of telling you this, baby. But you're one with and part of an ever expanding, loving, joyful, glorious, and harmonious universe. A spit and I hurt. And there's a spit and rip of a bird. I am on a drug. It's called a Charlie Sheen. It's not available. If you try it once, you will die. Your face will melt off, and your children will weep over your exploded body. Rap karate salami. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. Rapping spitting never endingly. None but ourselves can free our minds. Nobody stopped thinking about those psychedelic experiences. Rapping relentless. Once you've been to some of those places, you think, how can I get back there again? But make it a little easier on myself. Raps on the shelf. To get really high is to forget yourself, and to forget yourself is to see everything else. Raps on spitting on mouth, and to see everything else is to become and understand a molecule and evolution, a conscious tool of the universe. Spitting it hurts. I used to have a drug problem. Now I make enough money. Rap on a floppity monopoly. I've never had a problem with drugs. I've had problems with the police. Rapping on the spitting of but when the power of love overcomes the love power, the world will know peace. Indeed. I was on acid and I looked at the trees and I realized that they all came to points. Well, there if I go going, and the little branches came to points. Ahoy! And the house came to a point. I thought, oh, everything has a point, and if it doesn't, then there's no point to it. Spit it, I rap it. Although all of history, mankind has ingested psychedelic substances. Those substances exist. Spit in the abyss to put you in touch with spirits beyond yourself. Raps on the shelf with the creator, with the creative impulse of our planet. Rap it, I spat it. When you smoke the herb, it reveals you to yourself. Spit and raps on the shelf. To get really high is to forget yourself. Raps on the shelf. And to forget. Spit. For yourself is to see everything else. Raps on the spit in the mouth. And to see everything else is to become an understanding rampant molecule and evolution, a conscious tool of the universe. Spit and it hurts. And there's spit and rapping on bird. A reality is an illusion, albeit a persistent one. I wouldn't recommend sex, drugs, or insanity for everyone, but they've always worked for me. Spitting, yes, indeed. I have realized that the past and the future are real illusions, that they exist in the present, rapping resentment, which is there is all there is. Rapping never ending again and again. There it goes inside of my head. Rapping never ending. I said, the potential of the psychedelic drugs to provide access to the interior universe is, I believe, their most valuable property. Rapping a sloppity, perhaps to some extent. We have lost sight of the fact that LSD can be very, very helpful in our society if used properly. Rapping monopoly, sloppity. There it goes inside of my head. Spitting never ending again. I said. There's a spitting and rapping and rap. As this vocabulary has been adequate, documented, education, psychological confidence, it's validating, elaborating, understanding, clearly adamant, randomly, conscious, accurately, and coherently. I mean, insurance, subvegetarianism, recovery, rehabilitationism, infinitism, rhymatism, a psychedelicalism, a syllabalism, alienation from nature, and the loss of the experience of being part of a living creation is the greatest tragedy of our materialistic era. Spada is the causative reason for ecological devastation, equation annihilation, and climate change. Therefore, I attribute absolute highest importance to consciousness change, arranged. I regard psychedelics as catalyzers for this spitting a dis. They are tools which are guiding our perception toward other deeper areas of human existence, wrapping us spittis, so that we again become aware of our spiritual essence. Psychedelic experiences in a safe setting can help our consciousness open up to a sensation of connection, wrapping a spitting, of being one with nature. LSD and related substances are not drugs, pull the plugs in the usual sense, but are part of a sacred substances which have been used for thousands of years in ritual settings. There's stuff wrapping a spitting. I have been called irresponsible optimist, the opposite of an irresistible optimist is a repressive pessimist. Spitting above that. I'm not just spitting da. Unsophisticated vocabulary is man, undocumented education, psychological incompetence, personality, elaborate understanding, include element, is consciously accurate and clear, and children, so they take this up to terrorist recovery, beyondosinatism, psychedelicalism of lyricism. Psychedelic experience seems to temporarily crack open a new view, a critical window. Well, there I go. A window of opportunity with great neuroplastic potential. Wrapping a spectral, spectral, a razzle, a dazzle, with an enriched interpretation of the world in terms of personal relevance, amplified analogical thinking, wrapping her in a wider web of semantic association, equation, annihilation, one that not only reveals the elemental foundations spent fundamentally and spent an equation of thought and perception to the conscious mind realm, but invites it to participate, wrapping away, orient toward significance and integrate a variety of personally relevant information, spent an equation, immigration, and produce insightful experiences and emotional breakthroughs spit into you. A toucan Scooby-Doo that can mark the beginning of a process of reorienting priorities, attention, attitudes, and behavior. Wrapping equator, spatter, a change in the mobilization and distribution of utilization of limited energetic resources by the serotonin system spitum. In other words, an opportunity for the master homeostatic regulator, equator, incubator to integrate all the various pertinent variables, reorient and realign the self, body, and outside worlds, spins and whirls and swirls and twirls. All deities and demons, all heavens and hells are internal. Wrapping a spit in a furrow. Full life can include the things you ingest, but it is a barren mind who considers that the totality of one's persona spent and wrapping up blah blah. You are the ultimate reality. Change the perspective of your life becomes a mirage. Examine a DNA molecule, spin a view through an electron microscope, or observe Earth from orbit, spin a spat or drop LSD for inner space psychedelic. Spin around blah. And you'll certain equally valid layers of hyper reality accessible to us modern humans. Spitting a conclusion. These layers of truth would seem very weird to a prehistoric caveman, wrapping up behavior and levels of hyper reality. Spin monopoly are going to turn out far stranger than our wildest imaginings. Been rapping again and again. Good God, how didn't I notice that before the earth breathes and its colors are constantly changing? Is that what you want to know? Spent well there if I go. No. Things look cool. Things sound good. A library floats on a river filled with honey. Spent wrapping up. Yummy tummy. A culturally facilitated association of femininity with masochism, with celebrated during the psychedelic revolution. Megalomania is a common reaction to extensive LSD abuse. For once you are aware that your reality was created by yourself for your own benefit, it is hard to avoid getting a God complex. Spent and wrapping and wrap. Never ending a lot. Spend there in and all day and all night. Sophisticated vocabulary, undocumented education, psychological incompetence, reality, and elaborate understanding, include element, enemies, consciously, accurately, and coherently, neutral, subdivided, establishment, tyrannism, recalibration, beyondosinatism, infinitism, and rhymatism, never ending the spitinatism. There goes inside of my head, spitting and rapping again and again to fathom hell or soar angelic. Just take a pinch of psychedelic. The psilocybin experience is a way to connect with our own sense of spirituality and find meaning in our lives. Rhyme, a psychedelic show you what's in and on your mind. Rhyme those subconscious thoughts and feelings that are hidden, rapping never ending, covered up, forgotten, out of sight, maybe even completely unexpected. Rapping I sped it, but nevertheless mentally present. Psychedelics are not suppressed because they are dangerous to users. They're suppressed because they provoke unconventional thought, which threatens any number of elites and institutions that would rather do our thinking for us. Psychedelics are to study of the mind. What the microscope is the biology, and the telescope is the astronomy. Wrapping a sloppity floppity. Every person's body chemistry is different. The effect of one single drug, pull all the plugs that appeals to me might have a different effect on someone else. Wraps in the spell. That there's no way to tell what the perfect psychedelic drug would be, because it would be perfect only for you. Yes, if it's true. After having personally conducted over the last 50 years, drinking beers, spending these years, more than 4,000 psychedelic sessions, rapping obsessed with, I have developed great awe and respect for these compounds and their enormous potential, both positive and negative. They are powerful tools. Like any tool, they can be used skillfully and aptly or destructively. The result will be critically independent on the setting. Spent rapidly or endlessly for all eternity. The creative act is letting down of the net, spend a spat of human imagination into the ocean of chaos on which we are suspended in the attempt to bring out of its ideas. Spend a bia. The artist's task is to save the soul of mankind, and anything else is different. Surrealism to me is reality. Psychedelic vision is reality to me, and always was. Spend a twist that does. The function of the brain and nervous system is to protect us from being overwhelmed by the span of melt and confused by this mass of largely useless and irrelevant knowledge, spent in prowess by shutting out most of what we should otherwise perceive or remember at any moment, and leaving only that very small and special selection which is likely to be practically useful. The mind is a superb instrument if used rightly. Used wrongly, however, becomes very destructive. Psychedelics are catalysts for a deeper understanding of the mind and consciousness. Psychedelic experience is a doorway to a higher state of consciousness, subconsciousness. The mind is a powerful tool, and psychedelics can help us harness it full potential. Wrapping a spent razzle dazzle, a purple snapple, a shizzle my nizzle, bedazzle, spent in a scandal. So I'll be wed in the church of the holy and sent to us a mushroom. All fungi are edible. Some fungi are only edible in one span of bunce. Life is too short to stuff a mushroom span in a tomb. They did indeed use the am in religious rituals, and am does have deliriant and hallucinatory effects and more. This would mean not only is it linked to religion and religious social structure, spent in a wrapper forever in the ceremony, but there is a significant link that it produced these experiences by way of mucino-induced hallucinations, equations, invasion, since its consumption began 50,000 years ago. Well, there if I go, it would put its use on the very beginning of religion itself. Wraps on the shelf the idea that this is somehow a fallacy is far from the truth. Spitting to you, as not only is there a religious connection, but the connection that began at the same time. Remember, I'm in my carpet bag are the mushrooms that I gathered in the woods, spitting with 2 fingers. I picked up a piece and looked at it. Then I took a bite and wait for my body to react. Spin a wrap. Now I'm in a bitter mood. Spitting to you. In a short time I'll be dead or alive. I'm not always sure that there's a difference. Rapping relentless for all of us spent in a spatus. Most everything influences my working in a used bookstore, going for walks in the woods and peering at mushrooms, writing reviews coming from Frumpy Grumpy, faded at the knees, Winnipeg, rapping a bimba, spitting a rapper rap. Before I understand what I am doing, silent words pour out in a torrent of prayer. Beware, oh, how long my spirit has been bound by bitterness, rapping the spitting of this. But now a ray of mercy has pierced a hidden dungeon of my soul. But swallow my leg whole, swallow my soul whole, into the black hole. My griefs drain away, and hope fills the void. Opioid words of confession become whispers of praise as my feet move through the streets of Sonique. I exchange guilt for forgiveness, rapping never endless as the resentment for thanksgiving, turmoil for peace, spitting indeed the refreshing scent of the turnip, spitting a spit of a succulent and natural sweetness of the flesh, the fine aftertaste of its slight bitterness, wrapping a spitus and a faint aid and richness into its flavor, wrapping a quater and dater. The first one is stewed with hard calm. You stew the hard clam in soy sauce until it's rather salty, spit in a raspy, and then you place it inside the rice ball, no, and wrap it with dry seaweed, A stewed with hard clam. A stewed hard clam is what you eat in sushi, right? Why, that's the future, wrapper forever. Next is the mats. Mats to take a rice ball, spit and again to fall, but cook that mat suit take you picked during the season and simmer it until it's salty, wrapping a spit in a faulty, then preserve it. That becomes the filling for the rice ball, spit and I fall. The scent of flavor it brings back the joy of being Japanese. Indeed, it's good. But why is this rice ball of the future wrapper spit in a future a beholder? Beauty is the eye of the beholder, wrapper forever. The last one is the katsu bushy rice ball, spin and fall. You have katsu bushy from Makru Zaki as thinly as possible, and then you flavor it with soy sauce, spit in a ball, and place it into the rice ball. Finally, wrap it in dry seaweed, spin needy, and there's spin greedy. The mellow cheese melds together seamlessly with the chicken and the pate, and by serving it warm instead of chilled, far from ruining the firmness of the meat, wrapping indeed the moistness of the chicken has instead come alive. Not only that, the flavor of the porcini sauce is hardly overwhelmed, been a rep of a bell. In fact, it now has a complex and intriguing taste to it. This is still a rough idea with plenty of room for improvement. Spend you it, but the promises is hereby deliberately matching a powerful taste, a powerful taste of waste. They are actually magnifying each other. Rapper forever, spinning a thunder. Mushroom hunting is a province, is veiled in secrecy, second only to truffle hunting, and the level of dissimulation and suspicion it inspires. If you are lucky enough to find a good spot, wrapping a tater atop, you might unearth a skinny yellow and black trumpets of death, or a flat meaty pleurets, oyster mushroom spin from my rhyming apartment rhyming to wrap in a tomb, or even small a sponge like black morals. If you are not sure exactly what you found, spend a profound wow. You can take your basket to a local pharmacy, and the pharmacist will help you sort out the culinary from the potentially deadly as part of your training. Rapid never ending away. The original timeline for finishing the colony was 10 years drinking beers, and I spit that here, but that was when we thought we would have materials and didn't account for a homicidal fungus outside our gates. Rapping away goes today. Instead of spitting never ending on Frito-Lay. Inside of my head, the voices are echoing again and again. I said, "They're ending." I said, there is a world beyond ours, a world that is far away and nearby and invisible. As we experience resurgence of interest in psychedelics, we can again fantasize about a different future. The primary importance of psychedelic drugs, as far as I'm concerned, spending to earn, haven't you heard, is that they give you access to a mode of consciousness that's completely different from the mode of consciousness we operate in every day of our lives. The only way to deal with this life, is to immerse oneself in it. Spit it, use it to the hilt, and don't be afraid of it or what other people think of it. Spit it. Psychedelics are not a substance for faith. They are a door to authentic faith, born of encountering directly the sacred dimension of everyday experience. Delirious. Why so serious? This is not the only gate to that discovery. Ice rhyme. But it is the most ancient and universal, and potentially the most accessible to the majority of the human race. And away goes the day. No wonder psychedelics are threatening to it and offer it authoritarian religious hierarchy. About spending rapidly. You don't need faith to benefit from a psychedelic experience. Delirious, left alone, priest or even a shaman to interpret it. I sped it. What you need is a courage to drink the brew. You eat the mushrooms or whatever it is, spit in a disc, and then to pay attention, rapid and relentless, and make out of it what you will certainly with tools for direct contact with the transcendent other, rapper forever, whatever you call it, God or something else. Wraps in a spit in a mouth as taken from the hands of an anointed elite and given to the individual seeker, rapper, a speaker. No wonder psychedelics are fretting and rapping our end. If we ever approaching life from a non-fearful perspective, where your intention is to learn, haven't you heard that you can extract benefit from almost any experience. Rapping delirious, why so serious? Spit ice steaming inside me, seeming. Even bad trips, although they can be difficult, can serve as a valuable learning experience. Rapping a spit and a disc.